Hello, sorry for the technical difficulties. Finally, it's been resolved. Thank
That's
you so
okay.
much for your patience. Where were
Yeah,
we? So I asked, as a talent
yeah.
manager, what are the signs that you look for when working with young or new talent? How do you pick who you want to work for and who you throw your weight behind?
First, the first thing is to actually understand and realize the talent. And attitude is a very, very key thing.
Mm,
It's having a talent is one thing. Being able to actually actualize it and develop is another thing.
mm-hmm.
So in day-to-day life, everybody needs someone to sort of help
Precisely.
them forge ahead. But the job of a talent manager or talent company is very, very broad.
Okay.
You work with the talent itself to sort of guide them and help them to actualize their dreams,
Mm,
maybe in music, football, whatever. We all
wonderful.
have one thing or the other in terms of talent. And when we realize it, we need people to help us. So that's what we do at Utmostt Sports and Entertainment Management.
Okay, really, really nice. And what are some of the challenges that you faced in your field on the come up and working with clients? What are some of the challenges you faced?
Well, there's quite a couple, if I can use the word couple. As you can imagine, you're dealing with a lot of people.
Mm,
Sometimes you have people that want to like protect the interest. You have to protect the interest of your client at
mm,
all cost and at all times, and that's a difficult thing sometimes. So negotiating is is a very, very key thing in terms of looking after the talent.
mm,
So when you're negotiating, that can be very, very difficult. Say, for instance, I'll just give you just as an example, a talent is supposed to go and do something for a client, say 4 p.m., and the talent is not available till 8 p.m. So timing can be another issue. So you
mm.
have to talk to both parties. But ultimately, the most important thing is to protect the interest of the client.
What advice would you give to young talents in terms of honing their craft and maybe feeling that they're deserving or ready for representation? As a talent manager, what are the key things that you would want them to know?
The first thing is to, believe in themselves.
Mm,
You know, other things would be to be determined, to always know what you're worth and work around your team, work with people that can keep your feet on the ground. I think one of the most difficult things for a lot of talent, especially the young talent, that sometimes people see things as opportunities all the time.
mm,
And there comes a time when you know what you've put in, your craft, how you've invested in yourself. You have to know what you want and you have to work with your team. But unfortunately, a lot of talented people always see things as an opportunity. I'll give you an instance. When you look at one of the highest grossing films of, you know, ever, if I can use the word Wakanda. What's the title of the film again?
yeah, what, yeah,
I'm trying to remember. Well, everything was about Wakanda
yeah,
anyway. The cast in that particular film, the film made a lot of money, but
mm,
unfortunately, a lot of the casting there were black people,
okay,
and they didn't negotiate properly. They didn't get what they
mm,
deserved. So
mm,
in life and in business, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you
what you asked for.
negotiate, which is where talent managers are very, very key and important in negotiating deals for the talent. But the talent themselves have to know what they're capable of and what they're worth.
Mm.
Sometimes a lot of talented people just want to jump at every opportunity. Say, okay, let's do that and see what happens. You have to know your worth and your price. That's what I'll say.
You mentioned something there, and it just pulled my mind to something. What do you think is more important? Do you think talent is more important or hard work is more important? Because you did say something, and it's very true. We see millions of talented people day in, day out, but they might not go as far as the person who's ready to put in the work. So what's your opinion on that?
Well, I have two opinions, just one. Talent is not enough. You have to work hard and you have to work smart. So if you're working too hard and you're not working smart, things might not go your way. But if you work hard and you work smart, you have the best of both worlds. So, and in working smart, you have to listen, you have to observe, you have to, it's a lot of things that has to be balanced. But unfortunately, like I keep saying, a lot of talented people don't get the mix well. You know, you have a lot of talented people that they want to do everything themselves. Rome wasn't built in a day. You have to go through the steps. You can't jump from 1 to 10. You have to follow the process from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth before you get to 10. So working hard is one thing. Working smart is another thing. Picking the right channel, the right people, being at the right place at the right time doesn't happen by miracle or by chance. It's about actually strategizing and planning with your team or your talent management team.
What have been the highlights of your career so far, or any particular achievements that you're proud of till date?
Well, I would like to, you know, there's quite a couple, and I'm still working hard and smart to, you know, to sort of climb the ladder more. Right now, you know, we at the company we have a lot of young talented footballers that play in the Premier League, from the Premier League down to the Championship. It hasn't been a very, very easy journey, but you know, a lot of traveling, a lot of negotiating, a lot of talking, you know, a lot of proving one's worth and one's experience to the client. Because in as much as you want to manage a talent or a client, you have to understand the client too. They expect you to deliver, to bring something on board. So, you know, that's one of the highlights I can mention. But it's an industry where we're in, where there's a lot of competition, and one has to continue grafting, working hard and working smart.
Now, as a patriotic Nigerian man, I have to ask you this. Nigeria as a country is known to be a forerunner in all areas. That's sports, football, we have the Super Eagles. When it comes to music, when it comes to film, comedy, arts, theatre, the list is endless. Nigerians are always at the point centre and forward. What do you think Nigeria as a people have done so right that other African countries can take a look at and learn something from?
The number one thing is consistency. When Nigerians face a sort of business or whatever it is they're doing, they're very, very consistent. Nigeria has, you know, a vast number of, you know, the population is very, very huge as well. That's something not to take away from any other African nation. But you have to understand the numbers speak volume as well. In the business world, you know, as a person, I know a lot of people that I've met all over the world that want to go into Nigeria and do businesses. Because when you have numbers, you can achieve a lot. And what it takes is for you to present your, you know, opportunities, or to present and convince the general population of what you're bringing on board. Once, you know, they buy your idea, sky's not even the limit. The numbers are there. Nigerians are hardworking. Nigerians are smart. But the numbers is the population is a key thing. A country of almost 200 million people. So when I say when I speak to people in different parts of the world, especially in Africa, I let them understand where Nigeria stands. You know, in terms of population, in terms of the citizens. There's no place on earth that you not find a Nigerian.
Precisely.
There's no country.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. So Nigerians are everywhere, and they're enterprising people. You know, they like to do business, they like to strive, education-wise, in terms of work. Even when you look at the NHS in England right now,
yes,
there's a lot of Nigerians there. If you go to America, you have a lot of medical doctors. You know, the highest number of people in America that study up onto PhD level are Nigerians. So it has to do with the numbers, and it has to do with the education and the background as well, which is why, I mean, sometimes I say to people from Africa, as Africans generally and as Nigerians, we need to tell our stories more. The main issue is we don't tell our stories. So sometimes what comes out is only the negative aspect. If in a country where you have a population of 200 million people in the country, you know, what about the ones that are outside? So you have to look at the vast majority of the people that are doing very, very well, and in terms of creating positive awareness about the nation itself and about Africa. So those are the things that I would say that Nigerians do well, that just makes them thrive and stay on top.
So give me one word. What's the one word that we could use to inspire other African countries to kind of reach the heights that Nigeria has reached, or just to aim for higher? What's the one word you would give them?
I mean, there's a couple of words, but I would say consistency, like I said earlier on. Nigerians are consistent people. They're very, very consistent. The minute they put their mind to something,
they have to achieve it.
Yeah, they keep at it, yeah.
Fantastic. Very, very, very fantastic. So in light of all that's happening in the world today, we've seen the BLM movement, we've seen the Black Pound movement. Do you think this time we're going to see real change in our community in terms of everyone supporting one another and building the Black economy? Or do you think this is just another facade and it's not going to happen? Where do you stand on this?
To be honest with you, there's a mixture of, you know, explanations that I can give you. I think people are more awoke, if I can use that word. People are more aware. People are more willing. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at a race that's been at the back burner for over 400 years, for centuries, it's not going to be easy. But the good thing now is there's awareness of education. The internet is there for all to see and to use. Information that's shared quickly. They spread very, very wide, you know, near and far. But the key thing is we have to keep telling our stories, because it seems as if we're not, as a people, we're not, if I can use the word, enlightened enough, even though this awareness is there. When you're enlightened, then you take actions. So the actions that are meant to be taken right now is, okay, what are the things that we've not done well in the past? What are the things that we need to do well in the present? And what do we need to do in the future? I talk about in terms of I'll use the word or the sentence that goes forth. The significance of Black people, you know, is actually more meaningful and deeper in that way, because we're a significant breed in the world, a race that you know is one of the most powerful on earth, the strongest race, if I can say that, which is true.
Precisely.
And when you think, yeah, our skin color, the melanin, everything, we just have to understand and have a reset of mind and know that no other race is more superior than one another. In fact, if we were to actually go into science and reveal a lot of things, that you know, the atrocities that have been committed against the Black race for over 400 years is huge. And we're still here, we're still surviving. And the people, whoever on earth, that makes the Black race or the brown race or Africans believe that they're inferior to other race, then, you know, it's something that, it's mind games. It's, if you say, for instance, if you've enslaved people for 400 years, and that's what you did. You've killed them emotionally. They've been blackmailed. They've been stripped of their right. They've been stripped of their natural resources and everything. It's only natural for you to think that, hold on a minute, if these people get aware, if they were in the position where we are now, or you know, what are they going to do? So it's a fear kind of attitude that makes, you know, the other race comes out and says, you know, well, you're inferior, you can't do this, you can do that. And we ourselves, we have to keep pushing ahead. We have to keep forging ahead. And we can't just keep talking. You know, we have the entertainment, we're good in sports, academically we're good. But unfortunately, the aspect that we focus on or that we're made aware to think we're the best at is only the entertainment and the sports side. What about the academics? What about science?
And the
You know,
business
the
side.
wisdom and understanding are there. So it's all right for us to dance, to party, to have fun. You know, there's Afro beats, there's this, there's that. The culture is rich, but we have to let the other races know as well that we're here to stay. We're smart people, we're intelligent. You know, whatever belongs to us, we should take it. You know,
Precisely.
so action speaks louder than voice. I believe the movement is there. Like I said earlier, people are aware right now. So we have to keep, you know, pushing the agenda. We have to make you know, we have to create wealth. And I mean, I'm a business economist. And in economics, you have to understand how to generate wealth. And wealth is not only about money. You know, wealth comes from understanding, from wisdom, from empowerment, from forming communities, by leaving a legacy for the young ones coming behind, by helping the elderly that are there, because they have the wisdom. In Africa, a lot of the things we know are told to us by stories. They're not written down. So we need to start writing. You know, a continent that has so many languages, we need to be more together. We need to come together, appreciate what we got, and then take what belongs to us. So all this movement that you've spoken about, sometimes they get infiltrated by outside forces. If you look well into Black Lives Matter, a lot of people may not like to hear this. You need to look deeper into the actual meaning and why it was created. And you won't be surprised that the different elements of people involved. They're not actually Black people.
Precisely.
So there's so many things that, like, there are deep conversations we need to have amongst ourselves and understand and use the tools that we have. Maybe technology, maybe culture, you know, appreciating ourselves, you know, self-love, just different things. You know, for instance, we have hides and skin in Africa. There's so many, what you call exclusive or luxury goods all around the world that like the hide and skin, like there's a lot of companies in the world, without mentioning names, that the prices are exorbitant. They get the hides and skins from Africa. A lot of people don't know this. So we need to dig up more researches, learn more, and appreciate what we have in terms of even agriculture as well. West Africa controls a large percentage of cocoa production in the world. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ivory Coast is one of them. Ghana does so as well, produces. Even Nigeria does the production of cocoa, but we don't determine the price. Why not? Why are we not at the forefront of all this? So we first need to put Africa in a place of, in a driving seat where we can command the respect and the control that we deserve. Then the people in the diaspora as well needs to come together and sort of educate the Africans. I mean, it's a two-way thing. Africans in the diaspora and Africans in Africa need to come together, understand each other better. We need to tell our stories. You know, we have our own movie industry. We have everything that we need. So
Yes, we do.
That's my take on it.
Do you think Africans back home need to be more receptive of Africans in the diaspora and open up to more of their ideas, their advice, and just their mindset in general?
It's a very, very interesting suggestion, not even a suggestion. It's a very, very interesting point that you've raised. Well, what we have to understand is, you know, the mindset is the most important thing, whatever one wants to do in life. And to a large percentage of people in Africa, that the picture that's been painted to them of the Western world is pure gold. Pure. When I say pure gold,
Heaven on earth.
everything is glitz and glamour. You know, some people even think you can pick money on the street.
On the street or from trees.
You know, from trees, those kind of things. And it's quite unfortunate that everything we want and we need, not that we even want, that we need, is in Africa. But we still look to the Western world to provide aid. You know, sometimes what we don't even need, Africans are asking for it. And it's a two-way thing. You have to understand that if your mind has been enslaved for over 400 years and the baiting has been passed from generation to generation, it's not going to change overnight. So the people that are in the diaspora need to, if I can use the word, needs to keep pushing, because I get where you're coming from. You have a solid, a good idea of what you want to go and do back home in Africa. You go there, the reception is not there. Sometimes it's because people they lack the awareness, they lack the nuance, the knowledge. They don't see you as one of them. Sometimes you think you have everything on a platter of gold.
Having
So
said
it's a
that,
difficult.
no,
Yeah,
continue. Yeah, you continue.
it's a it's a very, very interesting thing, because I do a lot of businesses in Africa myself, and in terms of services, and I understand sometimes the people in Africa, I understand they themselves more than they do to themselves. So, and sometimes you have to understand that when you have an idea of the people you're dealing with and they're trying to have their way and they can't have their way, frustration comes in. And this mindset of I have to have everything now has to stop and come to an end at some point. It's better for you to have, say, for instance, £5 every day for the next year than just wanting to have £50 now. But to you and I, we can understand that concept and how that will work. But for somebody that they don't even know where the next meal is coming from. They have no work to do. They have nothing. So it's now a survivor for the fittest kind of situation. So it gets really, really deep. It gets frustrating. But we can't give up. So people like yourself with this kind of platform, with what you're doing, I see you go around all around the world. You've been to Nigeria, you're in Ghana. It's really, really good. Your program is good. I do follow it, and I see.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're doing well. So we just have to push the agenda out more. The technology is there now. People are learning more. With the cases of what's happening in America. America is one of the countries in the world that is always preaching democracy, but within itself, democracy is not prevailing. Now, what is democracy? So all these things are things we need to push more, push the agenda out, let people understand it. And we have to be more receptive, if I can use that word, because whether we like it or not, people in Africa see us to be in a better place. And when people look up to you, you have to steer the ship, and get on with the job. We just have to get on with it. We're getting results. It's not coming at the level of how we want it or where we think we can be. But in another year, 2, 3, 4 years, who knows what we can achieve? We just have to keep pushing the agenda. Those are my thoughts on that.
Keep pushing the agenda. Having said all of that, do you think there is a misinterpretation between both sides? So, for instance, do you think generally there is an ideology about diasporans that Africans think back home? And do you think diasporans also have an ideology about Africans in the continent? So what would you say on that?
Absolutely. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, based on my dealings all around the world. What I tend to do most of the time is like a bridge. I bridge the gap between the Western world and Africa. I'm African and I live in the UK. I'm not English, but I'm British. There's a difference. There's a difference. These things, everything we do and we say is all right in front of us. But sometimes we don't pay attention to the finest details, which is why when you have a contract, your phone bill, you're signing up, or you're signing up to a new business or whatever it is, you need to read the fine prints. And everything is always there. But as human beings, we don't pay enough attention. So what I will say is, for instance, I do a lot of things in Africa, Nigeria most especially. I'll tell you the countries I've been in Africa. I've been to Ghana,
Nice.
Nigeria, South Africa, Cape Verde, and Rwanda. Is there another place I've been to that I've missed out? Well, those ones anyway, I can authoritatively say to you I've been there. I've been to those countries. And I've always realized one thing. There's always a mindset that, when you come from a foreign land, even though you're Africa, African and you come from the Western world, the minute people realize you come from the Western world, automatically you're better than them. That's one thing. Automatically you have to give more. That's another thing. Automatically,
The
for you
obligations are
to have
higher.
everything is just, everything is just better for you. For you to have picked up your flight and your passport, you can fly to Africa and you can go back. You're on a different level, you're in a different class. But, some people as well, the picture people paint to, Africans back home is different. For instance, I can say in Nigeria now, some people might actually think 100 naira is the same thing as 100 pounds without actually knowing what the value of what the pound is. And when they know the value of what the pound is, but they think it's the same way you can get 100 naira, it's the same way you can get 100 pounds. Whereas it's different. You have to work your socks off. Back home in Africa, it's we have a culture of always giving. That's how our parents brought us up. That's the culture. You must always give. So which brings me to a question of, even while you're in Africa, you must give. So when you now go to a foreign land where the currency is better, the standard of life is assumed to be always better, which is not always the case. All that, all that, what's the word? All that glitter
glitters is not gold.
is not gold.
Truly.
And the way the Western world paints the picture, they protect the interest. If you're looking at the way London is promoted to the outside world is on a different level. The way the US promotes itself is on a different level. But the way Africa is portrayed to every other continent, to every other person, or to every other people is different. Who is portraying the image of Africa? Why are Africans not portraying the image of Africa in a very, very good light? So when you put all your eggs in one basket, the result comes out to be always the same solution or the same issues or it's a one-way street. When we start telling our stories, when we start educating one another, when we start taking ideas from the foreign land and going, I see Pascal is
Hello,
is
Pascal.
laughing.
Pascal's laughing his head off.
Yeah, Pascal is I've known Pascal for about, I think, at least 20 years.
Nice.
Played football, a professional footballer, played for Nigeria. Now is chairman for Bauchi State FA and is the Super Eagles coordinator. So all the big players in Nigeria, that's the person that handles them. So he's just laughing, so he gets where I'm coming from.
Welcome, Pascal,
anyway,
and welcome to everyone else. My name is Chantelle, and this is the Chantelle Show, and I'm speaking to your wonderful friend Utmostt. So for all of those of you who've just joined us, he is a sports agent, a consultant, and a talent manager who also happens to be into media and entertainment. And we're talking about a whole array of topics surrounding our wonderful continent of Africa. So having said that, what do you think needs to be done in terms of portraying Africa correctly? So, for example, Beyonce has just released the trailer for her upcoming visual album called Black is King. And one of the criticisms have been that there's always this constant, as you said, Wakandanization of Africa. So people holding spears, people with face paint, people running through bushes, people jumping from trees. And some people are saying that this is not a realistic representation of our continent. How would you like Africans to be represented?
Well, I'll break it down for you in different spheres and different perspectives. The Western world likes the culture of Africa. You see, when you're doing business, like I said earlier on, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. What the Western world wants to see is the spears, is the culture, the rich culture only. Now, who are the people doing these movies? I'll put the question to you. I believe, what's the name again? It's a Hollywood movie house. Is it Universal? I'm not sure.
Marvel?
Something like
the
that.
The superhero kind of movies.
Yeah. These people have statistics. They've got data. So they have their target audience. They know what they're looking for. So an average white person, they want to see the spears. They want to see people running the bush because that's the imagery they've been fed. Hollywood is there for something. You know, the media is there to always procure, produce, and to entertain a certain narrative of what people want to hear. So what the media wants you to see is what they show you. That's where PR comes in. That's where management comes in. So as Africans, when we want to portray a positive image of ourselves, of our rich culture, in a broad perspective, we need to start investing. We need to start doing it ourselves. We need to start telling our stories. To the politicians that have all the money in the world, where do they take the money to? They take it to banks, foreign banks. They don't invest in Africa. You know, in a situation where you take all your resources, your natural, not just resources, not just money, your natural resources, your wealth, you take it out from the land, it's called depletion in agriculture. Normal terms. You're depleting your culture, your resources, you're taking it elsewhere for other people to use and naturalize and make it their own. We've heard about different countries all around the world where leaders have died. I'll give you an example. Nigeria is one, Nigeria just received an enormous amount of money from Major General Sani Abacha, the money he had, I think, in America. What year did Sani Abacha die? I can't even remember. It must be at least it's over 15 years, more than that. So that money has been somewhere in the bank. They've used it. I'm sure it must have been like they've generated like 10 times of the income on it. Then they're just giving it back to Nigeria right now, and we're happy. So these are the things that what you put into a work, what you put into life is what you're going to get in. Precisely. Whatever we put into our culture, the investment we put into our stories, into our languages, into the clothing we wear, into the imagery we want to be portrayed around the world, that's only what we're going to get. So if Beyonce is producing that kind of film, it's business. I'm sure Beyonce is not the only one that sat down, wrote everything. She's working on contractual obligation. She can influence it, in one way or the other, but she doesn't have total control. So if we want to portray that kind of imagery, then we need to start investing. We need to start doing it. And believe me, we have the money, we have the resources, we have the superstars. We have a lot of, superstars in Africa that have, that control a whole lot of audience all around the world now, in the music world, in the entertainment, in the arts world. Why do you think somebody like Beyonce wants to now recognize Africa? She's African. She's always been African. Why is it now?
Africa is hot now, isn't it?
Africa is the hot property. We're the hot market now. Which is what brings me back to my earlier point, which I said to you. We need to stop jumping at every opportunity. We need to start thinking everything is an opportunity. If you're hungry right now and you haven't eaten for 3 or 5 days, you know what's going to happen to your body. The solution is go and eat. Look after yourself. So when you eat, you know that, okay, if you're hungry and you eat, you feel better. Your tummy is better. Your system works better. Then we need to start understanding this thing. But if you don't eat and you're thinking manna's going to fall from heaven, or for some miracle, you're just going to, get filled up from maybe thin hair, I don't know, then you keep expecting miracles, which is why there's an emergence of churches in Africa. People, we're always praying. We pray, and pray. We don't put our words into action. We don't go out there and get things done. And then when what you've been working toward, it's not a confusion of, say for you have your show now, you're doing your show, you're consistent at it. At some point, your followership is going to increase. If you're consistent with whatever you're doing, you're going to get results. So if somebody calls you now and says, oh, Chantelle, I see a vision that you're sure that is going to go to places, this and this is going to happen. Of course, that's what's going to happen. And they say, don't worry, just sit down at home. Don't continue your show, just wait for miracle. You're going to think, hold on a minute. Are they in the right mindset? You will know that. But to another person that hasn't even eaten, to another person that don't even understand, that they don't have self-confidence, they can't even, they don't know what next to do with their life, they'll grab onto that. So the reason why we're always at the back foot in Africa sometimes, because the basic necessities, we don't have it. No electricity, no light sometimes. It's not everywhere. I'm just saying the basics are not there for everybody. Some people have it, but a whole lot of people don't have it. So for me, what you put into an investment is what you get back from it. So Beyonce is doing that because that's what is expected of her. When she starts learning more, it comes out more. There's a young guy, his name now, Lao Lu. He paints faces. Lao Lu is a guy from Nigeria. He now lives in New York, I believe. He's a guy that paints faces. Some of the things that Beyonce does, he paints. He does body art and body work. I'm sure you know. Yeah. So it was discovered because he kept paint. He's a lawyer by education or whatever you call it, you know. But that took over because he was painting people's faces. He kept at it, and then they liked it. So those kind of things are what attract their art. They're artistic. But Africa is not only about art. You know, we're human beings. We breathe here. Even maybe better here. There's natural resources in Africa, and all parts of Africa. You know, there's an enormous amount of natural resources. But what are we doing with that? So we need to portray this imagery very, very well. We need to target them. Look at Nollywood, for instance, in Nigeria. Nollywood is one of the biggest things that can happen to Africa.
I think it's actually the third largest movie industry in the world after Hollywood, Bollywood, and Nollywood. Yeah, precisely, if not the second. Yeah.
But guess what? Hollywood, you know, Nollywood haven't even scratched the surface. You know, it's not even anywhere near its potential. What's happened to the government helping out the all of Africa? So whatever we have to nurture it. You have to portray it well. But I think that's going to happen now because it's a good thing we're having this kind of conversation. When you're having this kind of conversation, you know there's awareness. Some people know what time it is, you know, and people are aware. So I just think that, you know, with the old Beyonce thing, yes, it's good for Africa. Yes, you know, is more awareness for us. But what's the key depiction in what's happening? What control does Beyonce have? You know, how do Africans see this? Then we can, you know, if people in Nigeria go on Twitter and they start talking, you know that something is happening.
Very much so.
Going on Twitter is not the only thing. We have to take action. So where are the politicians that have money? Where are the investors that have money? Where are the people that have the clout, the power, the influence? Which is where the reception comes in as well. And when those people go to Africa, when they want to do things, are the Africans receptive to their ideas? So everything is a conversation that needs to keep happening. So I'm happy about the Beyonce production. You know, it's a good thing, but it can be improved. But we can't just keep talking. We have to improvise on it. We have to come out and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. When the album, our album came out as well, she featured a lot of Africans, and that was a big debate as well, talent. And in Utmostt, we do a lot of things with a lot of these artists, a whole lot of them. There's not, I mean, all the artists that featured in that particular project, you know, there's a lot of, you know, information. There's a lot of things that we know of what's going on in the industry. You know, what happens is an artist want to push their, you know, music to the Western world, all over the world. And when you're called up to come into a project of someone like Beyonce, that's big, that's huge. Now, the talent people, the talent recruiters for Beyonce, they're not stupid. Beyonce herself, she holds her ground. She's very, very intelligent. You know, a lot of people don't know Beyonce was actually homeschooled. She didn't go to the public school. She was homeschooled by her parents, especially her mom. You know, so everything is done in-house. So they do their research. When you're coming onto a scene, you're coming up with your numbers. So the Burna Boys, the Yemi Alades, the Wizkids. You're talking about numbers. Shatawale, right? Who else was in that album?
Um, who else? Busiswa from South Africa.
Yes, yeah.
There were loads. There were
There were
so,
loads.
yeah,
Yeah, but when you look at it, you see a lot of Nigerians in there.
a lot. There were more Nigerians.
Thank you. So now, if you want to ask me why, I'll tell you why. These artists are not only talented, it's not as if they're better than their counterparts. In terms of, when you're doing business, like I was saying to you earlier on, it's not only about talent, it's about working hard and working smart. The number one thing you need in record sales is numbers. Nigeria has the numbers, the most black populous nation in the world. They have the numbers. And anything Nigeria influences, it explodes. So you pick up that one. Then, I don't know who was on that album that is Nigerian that you can say, oh, they don't deserve to be there. Because they got the talent, they're witty, they're smart at it. So it's what they've been doing. And that's how you spot talent. So Beyonce got together with that team. And these people they follow up. There's a lot of stories that happen how these people were recruited that the general public don't know about, but that's another story for another day. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, there's what you call protection of interest in business, in day-to-day life, in life, in the human race. That's what it's all about. And when you pick these things out, then you start to mention money. Then you start to mention people wanting to be on top. Who wants to be, known for the best? So all these things are there. So as Africans, we shouldn't just be waiting for opportunities. We are there. We're where we're supposed to be. And we shouldn't always think that we're always welcome to the table, to the party, because people like our faces, because, of only our talent. Is what they can get from us as well. So when Beyonce knocks on your door and says, Chantelle, I want you to come on my show, or I want you to do this, you have to think first, okay, thank goodness I liked it, but why? Why does she want me on that show? So nothing happens by chance. There's grace.
And calculation.
There's grace of God, but at the end of the day, why? We always have to ask that reason. There's a reason why, these things happen. So to sort of finish up on that question, there can be better representation. Are we ready for it? Yes. Are we working towards it? Yes. Have we done it? No. So I'll just end it there.
But do you think we as Africans, do we respect the arts and the creative industries? Do you think that's probably why we're not getting enough investment? Like you said, our leaders are not investing in our creative arts industries because there's a lack of respect for creatives, perhaps?
It's not a lack of respect for creatives. Sometimes it's the understanding and the knowledge and the wisdom to deal with issues. And sometimes people can't just be bothered. Sometimes, as human beings, not just as Africans, human beings just want the easy way out. Everybody who wouldn't want to be in bed and be making money without working or lifting their hand? Everybody will want that. But you have to get the know-how, the people that understand how these things happen. The main problem is, like I said earlier on, we don't invest enough in our own thing. We lack a lot of foreign things. It's just something that needs to be reset. In all parts of Africa, most people think that anything that comes from the West is the best. In Africa, in most parts in Africa, in Nigeria, in Ghana, and all parts of Africa, if you throw a corn on the road, it will nearly grow. So that means that the soil is fertile. Nigeria, for instance, there's actually like a primary school Yoruba, because I'm Yoruba. There's a primary school Yoruba rhyme that says "Ise agbe, nise ile," meaning our job is the main occupation of the land is agriculture. If you don't work, you can't eat. I mean, it's actually there. It's in the Yoruba word. But when the oil industry came, Nigerians left agriculture. Now, everybody knows what's happening in the oil industry. There are electric cars, you know. The people that have the oil, that have had it for, you know, if you go to places like Dubai, we know what they've done with their money. If you go to Saudi Arabia, we know what they've done. Why, you know, we can't now just sit down and just blame the Western world for our, what's the word now? For
Our problems, I
the
suppose.
for our problems, for all our problems. So I think those key issues are the things that we need to start asking ourselves. We need to start asking our leaders to be accountable. A lot of people don't like to be accountable. That's a key thing as well. We need to start being accountable. We need to start giving, not just money, not just resources, efforts. We need to start making efforts. So those are the key issues of what we're not doing that I believe if we started doing them now, in 6 months' time, in 1 year's time, we'll get results. But another thing we have to talk about is, you know, the positive things that are not happening in Africa. There are reasons, you know, when we don't take our mantle, when we don't take our position in the food chain, other people are benefiting from that. So when you now say now, okay, you now realize that, hold on a minute, this is my land, I want to cultivate on it. And you have outsiders that have come to your land, they're cultivating on it. You left them to be doing it so, you know, freely in the past. They're going to look at you that, hold on a minute, what are you doing? Even though it's your land, but we're here. So we now need to understand that we have to work 2 times harder. Because when we start making positive changes, it's going to affect some economies. So, but it's all about negotiating and all that. So those are my takes on that.
I couldn't have said it better myself. You're completely right. And in light of everything that we've spoken about, it seems like all roads lead to Africa now. So what advice would you give young talent in terms of protecting themselves and the ever real present fear of potentially being exploited, their talents being exploited, them not being paid what they're worth, as we spoke about earlier? What can young African talents do to protect themselves from that damage?
It's education, awareness, research. In an industry like in Africa, there's a lot of things that have been put in place, even in the talent industry, even the entertainment. I'll use the entertainment industry and the sports industry as an example. There's, you know, a lot of talented people that come from Africa, and especially when they're discovered in Africa, when they're going, the chances of them being exploited is about 95%. And I'll tell you why. As soon as you have a talent and, you know, you're about to be exported, if I can use that word, of you're about to be discovered, especially from the foreign land, the Africans themselves, the family members of the talented person, individual themselves, pressure comes in. Everybody wants a piece, which is a reason why you know, a lot of artists, musicians, you see that, you know, they're always desperate to be discovered. If you go to, I don't know if it happens a lot in Ghana. Nigeria is one of the forerunners of Afrobeats and, you know, entertainment in that perspective. You're always hearing things about contracts, issues. You know, we discover this talent, we paid a lot of money, and after a while, the talent just wakes up one day and just walks out of the contract. Because when they're going in with frustration, with desperation. They don't do their research. You know, they're saying yes, sir, yes, ma, to the person that's discovered them. They're ready to sign anything. Like, well, I'm not even doing anything right now, so whatever I sign is a step further. But one thing about talented people is that, you know, at some point in their lives, not even at some point, most of the time, especially when they're now discovered, they're seen as gods. You have an artist that can sing. Their songs are popping all over the internet, on the radio, on Instagram, on social media. They're going to have fans. Then one day, you know, it's only natural as humans. You just feel, hold on a minute, all these people love me? I must be really good. Forgetting the people that actually supported them to bring them up. So it's a two-way thing between the talent themselves and their team. But like I've rightly said, education is a key thing. But there's so much issues when it comes to this thing, especially in Africa, because an average talent in Africa is just looking for a way to survive, and then they have family members, so there's pressure from there, from the family members. They too, they see a lot of things on social media. They want to blend in, so that force is what and the frustration is what pushes them to sign contracts that are not good enough sometimes. And a year, 2 years into the contract, they walk out. Then disputes start coming in. So I think in the end, the government have to do something, unfortunately. And when I say the government, people just think it's only people in the power, the politicians that are at the government. No, every person in each country, you're part of the government. If you have a skill set or you have an idea that you can change an industry, do so. Like the kind of things you're doing right now, a lot of people are watching from Ghana, from Nigeria, from all of Africa. People will say, they will hear the conversation, they will learn. So it's changing the narrative, or let people know that, listen, this is what you can get. Take your time, read the fine print, ask questions. There's no wrong thing in asking questions before you sign a contract. If somebody wants to manage you, if they want to help you, ask them what they're going to do. If I'm approaching a talent right now, I have to explain to them what I'm bringing on board. If they don't understand, I have to find another way. But this whole attitude or this whole concept of the fast lane, that things have to happen almost immediately, that's what leads people, talented people, to paths of destruction sometimes. And there's so many things, but I just believe education, having conversations, and being sincere with oneself. If you know you can't do something as a talented person, there's no need to just raise the bar and say you can do it. Because you're going to sign a contract. And when you're signing a contract, it's a two-way thing between the person that's employing you or giving you some services to provide, and you that you're providing the services. So it's about communication and understanding and using the legal means.
So to round off in a few words, what does the future of Africa look like for you in terms of entertainment? What are your hopes for the continent in terms of across board our entertainment, be it football, be it sports in general, be it music, film, art? Give us a few words on that.
The potentials are there. When I say, even potential is an understatement. The actualizations are there. In the world of entertainment right now, Africa is leading. Sports, even against all odds, we always find a way to prevail. We're leading. We just have to put the right concept, the right structures in place, the right mindset. The governments have to get involved. We have to forget this whole notion of just only natural resources. We have to use natural resources. We have to invest in natural resources, in education, well-being, health. It's another thing. The average African, sometimes in different parts of Africa, they don't live long enough because there's not, the government are not providing enough facilities and basic amenities for its citizens. So if the basic things are there, people can eat 3 square meals a day. It's not just people, everybody. There's sufficient light. When we stop seeing the basic necessities as luxuries, things will become better. So in entertainment, in sports, we have a very, very, very high chance of improving on everything. We just have to put the right structures in place, the right people, that have the know-how, the understanding, the wisdom. We need to start putting round pegs in round holes, and everything will definitely come in place.
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here yourself from the very one and only Utmostt, who is a sports agent, a consultant, talent manager, and media and entertainment guru. Utmostt, it was wonderful speaking to you. Thank you for all the enlightenment that you shared, and hopefully we'll speak again very soon. That's all from us today. at the Chantelle Show. I'll let Utmostt speak if he has any closing remarks to make, and tell people a bit more about where they can find you and where they can support your work.
First of all, thanks for having me. It's been a good show that you've invited me to, and I watch some of your shows and what you do, and I think it's inspiring. It's good.
Thank you.
The way you're portraying Africa. We just don't want to we just don't want to hear bad things about Africa. There's a lot of good things from Africa. So
precisely,
you're one of the people portraying that, which we appreciate you and we thank you for that. So you must continue doing the work because we need more people to do that. So thank you for inviting me. With Utmostt, you can find us on social media on, at Utmostt, UTMOSTT. We are doing a lot of wonderful things for people in the diaspora and Africans and people from the ethnic minorities. We're pushing the agenda for equality, for the betterment of everybody, especially people from Africa, because we're underrepresented. We just have to help each other and push forward the agenda. That's what I will say. It's let me put it. It's UTMOSTT.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. So that's where you can find us on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, LinkedIn, everywhere. Everything Utmostt. We're there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule. It's been a wonderful conversation and I've learned so much, and hopefully all our viewers at home have learned something too. Utmostt, have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much for joining me on the Chantelle Show. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.